Time to murder it!
Alright, welcome to the very first Rippin' and Tearin'. I'm your host, Matt L. Raven Vasquez. I'm very excited about this program. This program is going to be fast, in your face. Never going to follow a formula until I figure out a formula. And then maybe we won't follow that. I don't know. Real quickly, it's not always going to be about football, but it always will be about fun. Take everything that I say tongue-in-cheek, 95% of the time. You'll know the other 5% when I'm being serious. Unless you're Chi-Town. If you're Chicago, I'm serious about you 51% of the time. So, with that, let's go ahead and get to stuff I didn't want to say for last.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last? That's right, Major. You did. I lied.
Alright, March 1st is here. The season has begun. There's lots of action. There's been trading. There's been draft trading, draft positioning, salary caps, dumps, franchise tags, transition tags. Everyone's doing something. We got a bunch of new ownership. We got new owners in KC, Cleveland, Minnesota, Baltimore, Jacksonville, and New England. And my question to all of those owners is, what is your plan? I know what my plan is. Clearly, the league knows what my plan is. I've been stockpiling draft picks all offseason. Started the first day I could. Currently sitting on 16, including the number 1, number 4, number 11 overall. So I see that Minnie made a trade for some draft picks a little while ago. Cleveland and I made a trade, so he gained a couple of draft picks. Haven't seen Jacksonville too much do in the way of draft pick trading, but I know he did pull off a trade the other day. We've got a brand new owner in New England, and I do not envy him. He definitely has to just chop that cap down and get to work. That is a tough situation to go ahead and take over. That was left behind. The myth, the legend, J-Rob. A moment of silence, please. And that's it for that. All right, let's go ahead and touch on last year's Final Four. We got the Jets, the Panthers, the Packers, and Denver. So these are the 4 teams that everybody needs to be looking at and needing to circle on their schedules and hoping to take down. Denver looks absolutely loaded right now. Obviously, I made the trade with him, Andrew Luck. I was able to get a bevy of picks, but he's looking really loaded. Carolina, he had mortgaged his entire future for this year until Detroit rolls in, gallops in, prances in. He's a lion. He's probably prancing. And saves the day by giving him an entire draft plus some draft picks for next year, which was really nice because Carolina had no picks for 2 seasons. 2 seasons. Man, I'm still scratching my head on that one. The Jets have been super quiet. They're just kind of sitting over there. You know, they're the champs. Maybe they're content. When you're content, that's how you get taken down. You need to stay active, and apparently he really likes his roster. He does have some cap space, and he may be a player for a key free agent or 2. We'll go ahead and we'll see that as it goes along. And then finally, the Packers. The Packers, War Words of Tampa Bay, has not materialized this year. It's legendary. I'd like to see it. Maybe there's not a whole lot of talk because he freaking kicked Tampa Bay in the nuts in the playoffs last year. I don't know. Tampa Bay, respond. Tell me what you think. You can tell me what you think, what you hate, what you'd like to be discussed at rippint@yahoo.com. That's RIPNT@yahoo.com. We'll be using that for the poll questions. You guys can send anything you want to go ahead and send there. Just going to go ahead and touch back on the trading for a second. We've seen some good trades. We've seen some bad trades. We've seen some questionable trades. And then we've seen trades that weren't done with negotiation juice. What is negotiation juice? Get your mind out of the gutter, gentlemen. Negotiation juice is your beverage of choice when you're trading. If you aren't drinking negotiation juice when you're negotiating a trade, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting the league, and you're hurting your family. You may hear a similar statement on a very special upcoming mini-series by none other But that's all we're going to say about that for now. So, that doesn't matter if you're drinking a beer, you're drinking some scotch. Apparently, I have an appointment. And, you know, maybe a glass of wine, whatever, if you're a little refined. But you should be drinking when you're trading, because that's when it's most fun and that's when the most ludicrous shit happens. Clearly, Detroit was smoking crack. Few teams. Cap situations are becoming a little bit more clear. Cap hell. Number 1, San Diego. Oh, man. Franchises, Big Ben, he's got 30-something million in quarterbacks. Now what do you do, dude? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You call any new owner with a ton of cap space and you beg and plead for them to go ahead and take this cap off your hands. You need to start working it, bud. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got some cap situation going on there. Very interesting. He was a playoff team last year. Is he going to be able to remain competitive this year? How accurate are the numbers? We do know that Kamish still has a little bit of cleaning up to do. New Orleans, that NFC South, man, holy shit. All right, so New Orleans has got a little bit of cap issues. I don't think he's too far over. I have to go ahead and double check right now. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. And finally, Carolina. Carolina may or may not have had a proper grip on the rules. I know, like I said, there's still some cap stuff to be cleaned up. But Carolina, who had put everything into this season, may have shot himself in the foot a little bit. I still say he's loaded. He's going to figure it out. He's worked trades with all but 2 of the managers in the NFC. So I'd say that's definitely going to get itself figured out. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we'll be with Brad Jansen, owner of the GM of the Miami Dolphins, right after this quick commercial break. This week on Magnum PI, TC and Rick do all the crime solving and dirty work while Magnum rolls around the island with hot bitches as a mysterious thief is stealing this week's harlot's underwear. Who could it be? Mustache drives a Ferrari. Tom Selleck. Also, Higgins contemplates suicide because Magnum won't clean up his dishes. This week on an all-new Magnum PI. 8/7 Central. All right, welcome back to Rippin' and Tearin' with L. Raven. We got a special guest now from Miami. He's the owner and GM, Brad Jansen. Brad, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man.
So you've been pretty busy this offseason, man. You've been involved in a lot of trades. I'm just kind of wondering, who do you think's done the best and really kind of helped their position in their league?
Well, I definitely I'm not done making moves. I'm going to keep at it. But I don't know. I think a lot of teams with cutting some cap and getting rid of some bad contracts. There's a lot of teams that have improved their position from last year for sure.
Is there anyone outside of yourself that you kind of see in the AFC or in the NFC that's really kind of really jumped up? You know, maybe a team that didn't make the playoffs last year that's been kind of bold during the offseason this year?
I think Indianapolis is one that's definitely got to look out for. Obviously, we made a trade earlier for Eddie Lacy. But if you look at what he's got in the draft, he's got just tons of picks. And got some decent guys from the last draft. I mean, he has Odell Beckham, whatever his name is, Odell Jr. And I'm looking at his roster right now. Got some solid linebackers. I think he's definitely a team to worry about.
Yeah, I think Indianapolis has done a hell of a job. I'm surprised he kind of threw in the towel so early last year, but it's my understanding that he picked up quite a few of those guys during the season last year. He didn't actually get them through free agency or through the draft. Is that correct?
Yeah, to some degree. I think he started kind of unloading guys pretty early last year, and then he's had a few trades this offseason, mostly just picking up more picks, though.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears from the good and go to the bad. In the AFC, who's made the most head-scratching trade that just made you go, what the F?
Well, let me see here. As far as trades, I'm trying to see, I don't have the list in front of me. The first thing that comes to mind as far as just moves in general franchise tag Big Ben. That one definitely scratches my, scratches my head.
Yeah.
He's already got Tony Romo locked up for $10 million, and then he goes and tags Ben at 13, and he's got Nick Foles at 13. So he's got over $30 million just in quarterbacks alone. So I'm not really sure what the plan is there, but that one definitely has me scratching my head.
I think the trade that's kind of got me just baffled would probably what's going on with Detroit. The two Detroit trades.
No.
I mean, the first Detroit trade was like, what the hell, and then the second one with Carolina, I just didn't get it. Didn't get it at all. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that one definitely. You're talking about the Mosley trade? DJ Mosley?
Yeah, the Mosley trade for like 8 draft picks.
Yeah, Mosley, he's got to be related to DJ Mosley at this point. I have no idea what else he could possibly be thinking for, trading that much, many assets, I guess, for one guy.
Yeah.
But, DJ Mosley's definitely got some promise. He's going to be, a starter moving forward and had a hell of a rookie year, but don't have a whole lot of body of work because I go on with that guy.
All right. And what about like who's been inactive? Like who in the AFC or the NFC, I mean, do you feel has just been kind of really inactive, who needs to be active, maybe a contender from last year, maybe someone who was just on the cusp, but just not really making any moves and kind of being quiet during this offseason?
Just not counting any new owners, which we have quite a few. I won't talk about that. At least it was kind of a shallow pool. But I'd have to say probably, I'd have to go back to San Diego. I mean, we did make a trade early on, but even then, I don't know, the AFC's been pretty active. The Jets are one. I think the Jets have pretty much stayed stagnant since the Super Bowl. They haven't really made a single move other than trying to, send out Johnny Rehab for,
for everything?
Yeah, so you got a couple deals in yourself, I think. He offered me for like a second-round pick or something, high second.
I think he offered. I'm pretty sure he offered me Johnny Manziel for the 1.01, but I've got to think he was screwing around on that one. I just.
Yeah, I hope so.
What about the Raiders? Don't you feel like the Raiders are a team that have been kind of just real kind of quiet and inactive, and their main competition, Denver, has just been lighting it up?
Yeah, that division is going to be tough. I mean, Oakland did make it last year, but I don't think San Diego is going to be putting up too much of a fight. KC is they're kind of figuring out what they've got. Oakland's really the only contender to take over for that division, and I think Denver really pretty much has it in the bag. I think I have to agree with you on that.
Let's just switch gears real quick over to the NFC, kind of staying on the inactives. There's 4 teams that I feel like have decent rosters, but they just really haven't done much here in this offseason. And I'm looking at the NFC East, and I'm looking at the Giants and the Cowboys, and I'm looking at the NFC West, and I'm looking at the Rams and the Niners, thinking, their divisions, in the NFC East, that's a very strong division. I can't see how those guys are standing pat. And in the NFC West, it's not a strong division. Arizona ran roughshod, but they've got to step their game up. Any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I kind of agree, especially with the Niners. I don't see a whole lot of trades going through with them. But a lot of times, some teams maybe just want to stick with what they have or try to, deal with free agency in the draft and don't really want to, make the effort to get on the phones and make some trades. I guess, I don't know.
All right, and I'm going to get you out of here on this. Your intro for this program is just badass. You did a great job, and unfortunately, we have not been able to get the original intro to work just yet, but we are going to keep working on that. That's why we're working on this program during the off season. We're trying to go ahead and get all the kinks ironed out. But I just wanted to let the league know, and just what an incredible job you do with your videos. Sounds like you got it. That could be a trade coming in right there.
Yeah, right.
So I just want to let the league know that you are responsible for the intro, and thank you very much.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a pleasure.
All right, Brad. Well, thanks for being on, and we look forward to having you on again.
All right, take care.
This week on an all-new A-Team, Hannibal devises some crazy-ass plan while dressed as a milk cow to take out a small-town farm thug who threatens an old Nam buddy's daughter's corn harvest. Never mind that the plan includes modifying her tractor corn harvester into an armored machine of death. Meanwhile, Murdoch can't tear himself away from the sugar cubes reserved for horses and then accidentally licks B.A. Baracus, which leads to comical hijinks. Finally, Face can't resist getting involved with the mayor's daughter, who just so happens to be the leader of the farm thugs. This week on an all-new A-Team, Tuesday, 9/10 Central.
Are you ready for the new sensation? Well, here's a shot heard round the world. All you bathroom boys salute when a flag unfurls. Well, guess who's back in circulation? Now, I don't know what you may have heard, but what I need right now is the original Good Time Go.
All right, welcome back to the show. I want to go ahead and thank General Manager of the Miami Dolphins, Brad Jansen, for joining us in the last segment. He did a hell of a job with the opening, and I appreciate his time. We're all really busy. We're going to go ahead and go on to a little segment called If Your Team Were a Movie. And first up, we got 5 teams today, St. Louis Rams. I feel a little bad about this, only because you did such a great job in that mock draft article. But when I say I feel a little bit, not so much. And when I look at your team, I'm not quite as optimistic as you. And if you add Jameis Winston to it, you may not be so confident yourself, because I think Winston might be problems. But if your team were a movie, you'd be Fargo, because it feels like your team's about to go through a wood chipper. You couldn't stand up to the Arizona Cardinals last year. What's changing this year? And I would like to go point out, didn't you draft Johnny Football last year? Now you're talking about Winston? Come on, guy. All right, next up, the Dallas Cowboys. You know we're going with a Western theme here. And if your team were a movie, you'd be the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because you're looking at DeMarco and Calvin and smiling, then you're looking at their contracts, and then you're looking at your cap. Good, the bad, and the ugly, guy. Keep up the good work. Next up, the Wolf of Wall Street. Only one team could be the Wolf of Wall Street, and that absolutely is the Minnesota Vikings. It's clear you got a high-stakes plan, sir, but something nags that you might end up in a little cap violation. No doubt playing a volatile game, doing massive amounts of quaaludes. Conducting business while doing massive amounts of quaaludes is either genius or genius. You, sir, are doing great work over there. Keep it up. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts. Feels like a little Matthew Broderick. Yep, you guessed it. War games. You set this draft up to be a classic no-win scenario of tic-tac-toe. Your division rivals are shaking in their boots, and you got Tennessee, Houston, and Jacksonville right where you want them. You hold all the cards in the arms race, so I'd be interested to see what you do in this offseason. And then last up, Detroit. Dumb and dumber. You get to be the sequel as well. Just when I thought you couldn't do anything stupider, you go and totally redeem yourself. You, sir, are running that franchise exactly as you should. Do not let anybody or anyone tell you how you should go ahead and run that. Your advisors are top-notch. Your cap management is second to none. And feeding the dead bird can have his head taped back on. It's looking up. That's all we got for that segment. We will be right back. Alright, welcome back to the show. Last week's poll question, I got some good answers. Thank you very much for everyone who sent in on that. The poll question was, who's your consensus top 5 right now across the AFC and NFC? And I got to be honest with you, I think some of you guys are smoking crack, but here they are. At number 5, holy shit, the Detroit Lions. I can't even, I got nothing. I got nothing on that. That's just baffling. At number 4, preseason favorite and darling, the Philadelphia Eagles, receiving quite a few votes. At number 3, the Commish, the Washington Redskins. At number 2, the Carolina Panthers. And the number 1 preseason first week of March favorite, which means absolutely nothing, the Denver Broncos. Oh, thank you very much. The Denver Broncos, number 1. So, can you find your way into the Power 5? Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. All right. So remember, you can go ahead and send questions and topics, poll ideas, criticisms, whatever, to ripnt@yahoo.com. That's RIPNT@yahoo.com. I want to thank you guys for listening today. Just so you know, next week's poll question, which team from each conference has the best chance of making the playoffs in 2015 that didn't last season? All right? So think about that. Send those answers to RIPNT@yahoo.com. Until 2 weeks from today, this is El Raven signing out. Thanks for listening.